Hello, viewers. Welcome back to our channel Literary Duo. In this video, I am going to talk about the background of the poem Fra Lippo Lippi written by Robert Browning. Before I discuss the background of the poem, let me tell you one thing that I'm going to make a video series on this particular poem since the poem is too long, consisting of more than 300 lines. So I'm going to make a video series. So now, before I go in detail about the background, let me tell you about Robert Browning. Robert Browning is a Victorian poet. To be specific, I would talk about the genre dramatic monologue and in which topic did Robert Browning write. Okay, so as all of you know of us know that Robert Browning is a Victorian poet. But interestingly enough, Robert Browning was fond of reading the medieval texts like Vasari's Lives of the Artist. Vasari was an Italian painter, so actually, so to say, Robert Browning was fond of Renaissance writings, and most of his dramatic monologue we see the historical characters. His famous and reminiscent dramatic monologue, My Last Duchess, we all know. In that poem also we see the central character is Duke of Ferrara. So unlike like Andrea del Sarto, also we see the historical painter Andrea del Sarto. So Robert Browning was very much fond of Renaissance writings, Renaissance arts, Renaissance culture. So in his writing, in his poems, it is very much there, the taste of Renaissance. And one interesting thing is that Browning is a Victorian era Victorian poet, but he dealt with the Renaissance Middle Ages things. And we, the reader of 21st century, so here we find a time traps. So these vast age gap would be there. So we need to be very much conscious while reading Robert Browning's poems like Fra Lippo Lippi, like Andrea del Sarto, like My Last Duchess. So now I want to talk about dramatic monologue. What is dramatic monologue? Okay, let me tell you, dramatic monologue is a form of poetry where the speaker is the person who delivers, who talks, who divulged his one aspect of his character, and there is no there is the presence of a silent auditor. There is a subtle difference between soliloquy and dramatic monologue. Dramatic monologue, we see that the listener remains silent and the speaker goes on to divulge his aspect of his character. So here I would like to mention a few features of dramatic monologue. In dramatic monologue, a single person deliver a, delivers a speech on one aspect of his life, and the audience, as I have already mentioned, the audience remains silent and the audience may or may not be present. And another interesting thing, speaker reveals his temperament and character only through his speech. So after that, I would like to talk about the particular poem, Fra Lippo Lippi. So let me tell you, why did Browning write this particular poem? Actually, as I have mentioned, Browning was very much fond of reading Renaissance books. So Browning was inspired to write this poem, as I have mentioned in the earlier of my video, that he this poem after reading he wrote this poem after reading about the Florentine painter Filippo Lippi, and he came across with this historical painter in Vasari's book Lives of the Artists, a compendium of Renaissance painters. This book is a compendium of Renaissance painters. And interestingly enough, Vasari identifies Lippi as the first realist painter, and Browning was attracted to the idea of Lippi being a group breaker in terms of artistic style. At the time, Lippi was painting. Art was expected to conform to certain religious principles and to pursue shadowy moral forms rather than delve into the intricacies of life as it is. Browning would have been attracted to this idea as a writer of complicated psychology in the midst of the Victorian era, which again pushed the idea that art should have a moral purpose. So, and another interesting feature of dramatic monologue I forgot to mention, that is, dramatic monologue always starts in medias res. In this poem also, we would see that Fra Lippo Lippi, the central character, is is wandering in front of a brothels, and then he was caught by the night guards, and this is the initial context of the poem. So this is the thing that dramatic monologue starts with in medias res. And this poem was published, this particular poem, Fra Lippo Lippi, was published in 1855 in his collection, in Browning's collection, Men and Women. And the central character is a historical figure, as I have mentioned earlier. His name is Fra Filippo di Tommaso Lippi, who was born in Florence and died in Spoleto. So, as Browning had a keen interest in arts, and he wanted to know the Victorian audience about the art that is there in the medieval arena, and actually he is pointing out the outlook of Victorian people about the art that is there in medieval period. And as I have said that Fra Filippo Lippi was a 14th century painter, and this poem Fra Lippo Lippi is associated with this particular historical painter. So this is the thing about the background of the poem. And now I will talk about the structure of the poem. Most of Browning's dramatic monologues, we see that there is hardly any rhyme scheme. So, in this particular poem, you would see that the poem is written in blank verse. That means there is no rhyme scheme. But there is a meter, that is iambic pentameter. There are five stressed syllables in each line, but there is no rhyme. But interestingly enough, that when we would go through the poem, there you would find some songs, Italian songs called Stornil. In that song only, you would find some rhymes. Okay, so this is the thing. So now I am going to end this introductory video. So I would now make the other parts of the video. That means I would now discuss the poem line by line. Do watch the videos and stay connected with Literate Duo for the upcoming updates. Do subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon. Till then, thank you. Bye bye.